Okay, in this video, we will introduce three influential applied linguists, Holiday, William Labov, and Stephen Krashen, who are also founders of their research areas. And I will start with systemic functional linguistics, which was developed by Holiday. And for Holiday, language is a meaning potential. He defined that the structure of a language is very important to serve the meaning that be implied. It means that the goal of a person acquiring language is not to produce the correct structure, but to get the meaning and accomplish certain social purpose. So is it important for us learning systemic functional linguistics? I think the answer is yes. And I will illustrate the importance of learning systemic functional linguistics through some principles of the theory. Systemic functional linguistics regard the goal of language is to make meanings rather than a system of rules. In real-world communication, people focus on the meaning expressed, not the structure of a sentence they spoken. And the systemic functional linguistics concern text rather than sentences. When people communicate, they express their feelings and thoughts through words. And to sum up, it's very important for us to learn systemic functional linguistics because we will often use them in our daily life.
Another influential applied linguist is William Labov, who is widely known as the founder of variationist social linguistics, and his main contribution to the area include language change, African American English, and dialectology. In the following section, I'd like to introduce the foundation study of variationist social linguistics, which is Labov's the NYC study. So let's look more at the study. Back in 1960s, Labov conducted a study in New York City because he wanted to know whether there is a relationship between social class and the rhotic R in speech. So he went to a very fancy department store, a mid-range department store, and a bargain department store. In each store, he picked a department on the fourth floor, say the shoe section. Labov then approached various salespeople and asked them where to get shoes, since both fourth and floor are words with an R after a vowel. The salesperson would say either fourth floor or fourth floor. He repeated this over and over at the three department stores. At the end of the study, he found that the staff at the fanciest department store were most likely to pronounce R, followed by the mid-range store, and finally the bargain store. So what's the impact of the NYC study? After the New York study, the variationist approach has quickly become dominant in North America, and the Labovian variationism has begun to impact the study of languages other than English. So that's the end for William Labov.
Here we come to Stephen Krashen. He is an American linguist who focuses on second language acquisition. Krashen is known for his second language acquisition theory involving several hypotheses. One of the theories is called the monitor hypothesis, which seems to learn as a monitor or editor. The monitor hypothesis implies that formal rules or conscious learning play only a limited role in second language performance. A performer may not fully utilize his conscious grammar, even when all three conditions are met. So there are three conditions for using the conscious rule in SLA. First is having sufficient time. Next is focusing on language form. The final one is knowing the language rule. While there are still some criticisms about the monitor hypothesis. A major criticism is that Krashen relegates language monitoring to a peripheral position in language acquisition. For him, the monitor is a post-learning process. However, other scholars point out that monitor is a basic learning strategy. Elise considers that monitoring is one of the 5 major aspects of successful language learning. According to the views above, even though the monitor hypothesis has high credibility, its feasibility is still worth considering.